Elijah stepped into the Starlight Lounge, a place whispered about in academic circles and popular in tales told by spacefarers. The club was a spectacle of colors and sounds, with the clientele as diverse as the galaxy itself. Tonight was no different, with beings from various worlds mingling, their conversations a blend of countless languages, some heard only here. "Never thought I'd find you in a place like this, Eli." A familiar voice called out over the din. Turning, Elijah saw his old college friend, Marcus, clad in a pilot's jumpsuit adorned with insignias from distant travels. "Marcus, I didn't know you were back on Galatea," Elijah responded, embracing his friend. The two had spent many nights debating the ethics of human-alien interactions, a perfect prelude to his current venture. "I just docked this morning. But come on, what brings a historian to the galaxy's most infamous club?" Marcus teased, leading them through the throng to a quieter booth. Elijah's eyes followed the stage where a figure moved with otherworldly grace. "I'm researching, believe it or not. There's a dancer, Lasara. Heard of her?" Marcus whistled. "Lasara? She's something else. But you're playing with fire. She doesn't mingle, especially not with humans. That's the point, isn't it? To learn why." Elijah replied, his gaze fixed on the mesmerizing performance. As Lasara's set ended, the crowd erupted in applause. She was the epitome of her species' beauty, tall, with luminescent skin that shifted colors with her emotions. Elijah couldn't look away. "Go on, then. Historians first." Marcus nudged him forward. Taking a deep breath, Elijah approached the stage just as Lasara descended. Up close, she radiated a serene confidence. "Lasara, I'm Elijah. I wonder if I could have a moment," he began, unsure how to bridge the gap between scholar and subject. Lasara tilted her head, her skin flickering with a curious silver. "What does a human want with me? I study intercultural relations. I'd love to learn about your dances, the history behind them," Elijah explained. She regarded him for a moment, then smiled slightly. "Follow me." They moved to a private corner of the lounge, her grace unmistakable even in simple walking. Marcus caught up, a drink in each hand, handing one to Elijah. "So, historian, got your interview?" Marcus grinned. "It seems so," Elijah said, accepting the drink but his attention fixed on Lasara. "Why the interest in human interactions?" she asked, her voice melodic yet sharp. "It's not just academic for me. It's about understanding, bridging gaps between species," Elijah shared. "And what do you think of our gaps?" Lasara challenged, leaning in. "More like chasms, sometimes. But that's what makes the work exciting," Elijah replied. Marcus watched the exchange with interest. Eli's good at finding common ground, even where there seems to be none. Lasara looked between the two men. "Perhaps there is something to be learned here, after all. We shall see how much of a historian you truly are." Their conversation deepened, drifting from dance to politics, to the subtleties of human and alien emotions. Elijah took notes mentally, his researcher's mind cataloging every detail, every shift in her tone and color. "Thank you for this, Lasara. I hope we can talk again," Elijah said as the night drew to a close. "We will see," she said, her skin glowing a soft blue, an alien smile curving her lips. As they left the club, Marcus clapped Elijah on the back. "Looks like you've made an impression. So, what's the next move?" "Next, I write. Then, I return. There's much to learn, and I think Lasara is just the beginning," Elijah mused, stepping out into the neon-lit night, his mind already racing with possibilities. The night after his encounter with Lasara, Elijah found himself back at the Starlight Lounge, his mind replaying their conversation. The air was thick with the sounds of a different musical ensemble tonight, one that blended electronic beats with traditional instruments from multiple worlds. Marcus was late, as usual, but Elijah hardly noticed, his eyes scanning the crowd for a glimpse of Lasara's luminescent skin. He settled at a small table with a clear view of the stage and the main entrance. "You look like you're waiting for a ghost," joked a voice beside him. Elijah turned to see a new figure, a human this time, with a rugged look and a friendly smirk. "Might as well be," Elijah replied, extending a hand. "I'm Elijah. Name's Sam." I pilot a cargo runner between here and the outer colonies. You're Elijah the historian, right? Marcus mentioned you'd be around. Just then, Marcus appeared, his timing impeccable. Sam, you met Elijah already. Great. Saves me introductions. What are you drinking? Elijah nodded in greeting. Just water for now, thanks. We were just getting acquainted. As Marcus ordered drinks, Sam leaned in. So, you're studying alien-human interactions? That's bold. It's tricky enough negotiating cargo fees with them. That's exactly why it's fascinating, Elijah said. Every interaction has layers. It's not just about what's said, but how, and the cultural context behind it. Lasara then stepped onto the stage, her presence commanding immediate attention. Her performance tonight was more subdued but no less mesmerizing. The complexity of her movements seemed to tell a story all their own. As she danced, Sam watched with interest. She's incredible. How do you even begin to approach someone like her? It's about respect, understanding the boundaries, and being genuinely interested in the culture, Elijah explained. When Lasara finished, she spotted Elijah and approached their table, a rare smile playing on her lips. Elijah, I didn't expect to see you again so soon. I could say the same, Elijah replied, standing to greet her properly. This is Sam, and you know Marcus. Lasara nodded at each. Gentlemen. Elijah, may we speak privately for a moment? The two stepped away into a quieter corner. I've been thinking about our last conversation, she started. You truly seek to understand, not just observe. That's my hope, Elijah said earnestly. I want to bridge our worlds, not widen the gap. Lasara's skin shimmered softly, reflecting her contemplative mood. I propose a deal. Teach me more about humanity, and I'll share the depths of my culture with you. I'd be honored. Elijah accepted quickly. Back at the table, Marcus raised an eyebrow. Looks like you're in. It seems so, Elijah grinned. She's agreed to share more about her culture. Here's to new friendships and deeper understandings, Sam toasted, lifting his glass. The group spent the rest of the evening discussing various cultural nuances, from human politics to alien philosophy. Lasara was surprisingly open, her questions pointed and intelligent. As the lounge began to empty, Marcus clapped Elijah on the shoulder. You're doing something important, Eli. Keep at it. Sam nodded in agreement. Yeah, and if you ever need a lift to the outer colonies for your research, I'm your guy. Thank you, both of you, Elijah said, feeling a sense of camaraderie he hadn't expected. Lasara stood to leave. Elijah, I look forward to our exchanges. I believe we will learn much from each other. As she departed, her silhouette a shadow against the neon lights outside, Elijah felt the weight of the opportunity before him. He wasn't just a historian now. He was a bridge between worlds, and his work was just beginning. The following evening, Elijah and Lasara agreed to meet outside the bustling confines of the Starlight Lounge. Elijah arrived early, taking in the sights of the city's neon skyline, which painted the night in a tapestry of vibrant colors. He was joined shortly by Marcus and Sam, who were quickly becoming his regular companions in this unfolding narrative. Evening, Eli. Ready for another chapter in your grand cultural exchange? Marcus clapped Elijah on the back with a grin. Ready as I'll ever be, Elijah replied, spotting Lasara approaching. Her skin subtly shifted in hues, reflecting the neon lights around them. Lasara greeted them with a nod. Gentlemen, shall we? The four of them wandered into the city, finding their way to a quieter district known for its open-air markets and artisan stalls. Lasara seemed more relaxed here, away from the prying eyes of the club. So, Lasara, what's this part of the city? Sam asked, genuinely curious as they passed a stall displaying exotic fabrics. This is the old merchant sector, revitalized by artists and traders from various planets. Each stall has its own story, much like each of you, Lasara explained, her tone warm. Elijah was keen to steer the conversation towards a deeper understanding of their respective cultures. It's interesting to see how different species adapt their businesses to cater to such a diverse clientele. What's the key to successful trade here? Lasara pointed to a stall run by a Drawn, a species known for their meticulous craftsmanship. Understanding. The Drawn, for instance, listen more than they speak. They learn what their customers truly need. That's a valuable lesson for any negotiator, Sam noted, examining a finely crafted metalwork piece. As they walked, Marcus chimed in, and for us humans, sometimes we talk too much and listen too little. Lasara laughed lightly, a sound that seemed to shimmer in the air. Perhaps that's why you and Elijah are such good friends. Their conversation turned to the topics of music, art, and philosophy as they meandered through the markets. Elijah was particularly interested in how Lasara's people viewed art. In my culture, art is a dialogue, Lasara said as they stopped to admire a holographic sculpture. It's an exchange of ideas, not just a display of skill. Elijah reflected on this as he replied, human art often tries to evoke emotion or make a statement. It seems that's universal, but the dialogue part, that's something we could focus on more. As the night deepened, they found themselves at a small park overlooking part of the city. The skyline sparkled under the stars, providing a serene backdrop to their ongoing discussion. I think what you're doing, Elijah, trying to understand and document these interactions, it's vital, Marcus said, looking out at the view. It's easy to forget the individuals behind the cultural exchanges. Exactly, Elijah agreed. It's about the people, the personal stories. And what about you, Lasara? What's your personal story with art and dance? Sam asked, turning the focus back to their alien friend. Lasara's skin glowed softly as she considered her response. Dance is my form of expression, my way of connecting with my past and sharing it with others, regardless of their origins. They all took a moment to appreciate her words, letting the tranquility of the scene before them sink in. As the evening came to a close, Lasara turned to Elijah. This was enlightening. I hope your studies help others see the value in our differences. I hope so too, Elijah said, feeling more motivated than ever. Thanks to both of you for joining us tonight. I think I understand a little more than I did yesterday. They said their goodbyes, each departing with a sense of contentment and a deeper appreciation for the worlds they inhabited. As Elijah walked home, he felt not only the weight of his task but the joy of it, too. Elijah stood at the entrance of Lasara's chosen meeting place, a secluded overlook high above the city. It was a place removed from the bustle of neon-lit streets and filled instead with the quiet hum of the stars. The night air was crisp, carrying with it the subtle aroma of metallic blooms native to the planet. You actually found this place? Marcus appeared, pulling his jacket tighter around himself. Sam followed closely behind, glancing at the view with an impressed nod. I didn't think such a spot existed in this city, Sam admitted, crossing his arms as he scanned the glittering expanse before them. It took some searching, Elijah said, eyes catching movement in the shadows. Lasara emerged, her luminescent skin flickering like a galaxy come to life. Welcome, she greeted, her voice soft. I thought you might appreciate seeing the city from up here. Marcus chuckled. Appreciate is an understatement. This is stunning. Elijah stepped forward. Thank you for inviting us. It's beautiful. Lasara nodded, a smile playing on her lips. Tonight, I wanted to show you the dance of the stars. It's an old tradition from my world, one shared with close companions under the sky. Sam glanced at Marcus, a smirk forming. Looks like we're more than just guests tonight. Elijah exchanged a look with Lasara. There was a quiet understanding in her expression that resonated deeply. She began moving, her steps deliberate, and with each gesture, her skin shimmered in hues that mirrored the sky above them. Elijah couldn't help but be captivated. It's more than just a dance, isn't it? Marcus whispered, his usual humor replaced by curiosity. It's a story, Elijah responded, watching as Lasara's movements told of ancient journeys and cosmic whispers. She's sharing her history. Lasara turned toward them, inviting them to join with an extended hand. Marcus raised an eyebrow at Sam, who shrugged and stepped forward. I didn't come this far to just watch, Sam said, taking her hand. Elijah followed, unsure but willing. Lasara guided them through simple steps, her laughter light as they stumbled through the unfamiliar patterns. Not bad for first-timers, she teased, eyes meeting Elijah's. He chuckled. We'll call it beginner's luck. The dance continued, blending their movements with hers. The boundary between alien and human seemed to fade, leaving only the shared joy of the moment. As the stars traced their paths across the sky, Marcus finally broke the silence. I've seen a lot of things, but this tops it all. Sam nodded. Agreed. It's not just a dance, it's a connection. Elijah finished, meeting Lasara's gaze. Her skin glowed softly, and in that moment, words felt unnecessary. Thank you for trusting us with this, Elijah said, the sincerity clear in his voice. Lasara's smile widened and she whispered, It's only the beginning. Elijah, Marcus, and Sam sat in a small, dimly lit cafe that overlooked the central market of Galatea. The night air was filled with distant music, chatter, and the occasional burst of laughter from passers-by. They were in the middle of debating their next steps when Lasara appeared, her skin subtly glowing as she approached. You came, Elijah said, standing up with a smile. I said I would, Lasara replied. She took a seat next to him, eyes scanning the group. Tonight, I want to show you something important, something not often shared. Sam leaned back in his chair, a mischievous grin on his face. Every time we meet, you bring something new. What's on the agenda tonight? Lasara's expression turned serious. A dance, but not just any dance. This is one considered sacred among my people. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Sacred? Are you sure we should be a part of this? Elijah looked at her, sensing the significance behind her offer. Lasara, if this is too personal. No, she interrupted gently, eyes locking with his. I want you to see, to understand. They left the cafe and walked toward an old amphitheater on the edge of the district, hidden away and nearly forgotten. The space was silent, its history palpable in the cracked stone seats and faded carvings of long-lost performances. This place was built by my ancestors when they first arrived on Galatea, Lasara explained. It's where stories were shared through movement. Sam looked around, a hint of awe in his eyes. I didn't know anything this ancient was still standing. Marcus whistled softly. You historians and your surprises, Eli. Always something new up your sleeve. Lasara moved to the center of the stage and began to dance, each step deliberate, each movement telling a story older than any of them. The flicker of her skin cast light and shadows, creating a mesmerizing play across the amphitheater. Elijah watched intently, trying to decipher the emotions conveyed in her dance. It spoke of journeys, loss, love, and hope. He felt an unexpected tightness in his chest. She's pouring her heart out, Marcus whispered, leaning forward. This isn't just a performance. Sam nodded, uncharacteristically quiet as he observed. She's sharing something deep. As Lasara finished, her glowing skin faded to a gentle, warm hue. She looked at Elijah, a question in her eyes, as if seeking approval or understanding. That was breathtaking, Elijah said, breaking the silence. Thank you for trusting us with this. It means more than you know, Lasara replied, stepping closer. She reached for Elijah's hand, intertwining their fingers. This dance is only performed for those who matter. Marcus smirked, breaking the tension. Well, Eli, looks like you've been promoted from historian to something more. Elijah laughed, squeezing Lasara's hand gently. It seems so. The group shared a moment of quiet camaraderie under the open sky. The city hummed in the distance, but here, in this ancient amphitheater, they stood on the edge of something profound. Elijah's apartment was modest but filled with artifacts and books that detailed the rich cultures he studied. Marcus and Sam sat on the worn couch, sipping the bitter local brew Elijah had grown fond of. I still can't believe what we saw last night, Sam said, shaking his head. It was like we stepped into another world. Elijah leaned against the kitchen counter, watching Lasara as she examined a carved figure on his bookshelf. It's more than just tradition, Sam. That dance was an invitation into her life. Marcus looked up, eyes narrowing. Which brings me to my question. What happens now, Eli? You're getting deeper into this than I think even you planned. Lasara turned, her eyes catching the light. Is this what worries you, Marcus? That Elijah is engaging with something unfamiliar. It's not worry, Marcus replied with a slight frown. It's caution. Relationships like this haven't always been accepted. There are people, both human and not, who won't like it. Elijah crossed his arms. I'm aware of the risks, but that's not going to stop me. The work we're doing, what we're discovering, could pave the way for a new understanding. Sam raised his cup. Well, I'm with you, Eli. You always find a way to navigate tricky waters. A soft knock interrupted them. Before anyone could react, the door opened and a tall, stern-looking man stepped inside. He was clad in the official uniform of the Intergalactic Council, the badge on his chest glinting under the room's light. Elijah Hayes? The man asked, his voice deep and unwavering. Elijah stepped forward. That's me. I am Inspector Rowland. I'm here regarding reports of your relationship with the dancer Lasara. Your actions have drawn attention, Rowland said, glancing pointedly at Lasara. Marcus tensed, ready for an argument. Reports? From who? Rowland ignored the question. This relationship, if continued, may bring unwanted scrutiny. I advise caution. Lasara's eyes darkened, her skin dimming. This isn't just a relationship, Inspector. It's a bridge. Rowland's expression shifted slightly, a hint of curiosity breaking through his stern demeanor. A bridge? For what purpose? To show that commonality exists beyond words, beyond mere treaties, Elijah said firmly. We're proving that genuine connection can transcend the differences that divide our worlds. Rowland sighed, the weight of duty in his posture. Be that as it may, the Council will not take this lightly. You're venturing into territory that has consequences. As Rowland turned to leave, Marcus muttered, always the politics. Sam smirked. Wouldn't be life without it. After the inspector left, a tense silence filled the room. Lasara moved closer to Elijah, touching his arm. Are you sure you want this path, knowing what it might bring? Elijah met her eyes, unwavering. I'm sure. We've already shown that understanding is possible. I'm not going to stop now. Marcus raised his glass. To new paths, then. May they be as bold as they are uncertain. A hint of a smile returned to Lasara's face. To new paths, she echoed, her skin glowing with a renewed light. The next morning, Elijah woke to the sound of a loud commotion outside. He rubbed his eyes and glanced out the window to see a small group gathered on the street, voices raised and gesturing angrily. The scene felt unsettlingly different from the usual market chatter. Eli, wake up, man. We've got company, Marcus called from the other room, his voice edged with concern. Elijah pulled on a shirt and stepped into the living room, where Sam was peering through a crack in the door. It's not just the usual onlookers. Someone stirred up trouble, Sam said. Before Elijah could respond, the door buzzed. Marcus opened it cautiously, revealing Lasara, her eyes dark and worried. They know, she said quietly. Our relationship. It's out in the open now. Elijah's heart sank. How? We were careful. Careful wasn't enough, she said, stepping inside and glancing around the room. The council received anonymous reports, and now it spread. They're calling it a scandal. Sam clenched his jaw. Well, this complicates things. What's the plan now? We don't hide, Elijah said, his voice firm. This is more than just us now. It's about showing that this kind of connection isn't wrong. Marcus leaned against the wall, arms crossed. You do know what you're risking, right? Your career, maybe more. Elijah nodded. I do. But staying silent isn't an option anymore. Lasara looked at him, her expression softening. There are those who support us, Elijah. Not everyone believes in the old ways. Suddenly, a shout from outside caught their attention. A man, dressed in a mix of utilitarian and formal attire, stood at the forefront of the small crowd, waving a banner that read, Protect our traditions. We can't stay inside forever, Sam muttered. Either we confront this now or let it fester. Elijah turned to Lasara. Are you with me? Always, she replied, her skin glowing with a quiet strength. The four of them stepped outside, the morning sun casting long shadows. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder as they saw Lasara and Elijah emerge. The man holding the banner pointed at them, voice sharp. This is what we've come to? Our city overrun by those who forget who we are, he shouted. Who we are changes, just as it has for centuries, Elijah replied, stepping forward. Understanding doesn't destroy tradition. It adds to it. Lasara took his hand, her voice clear and calm. What we share is not an affront to anyone. It's proof that there is more to learn and more to connect. A woman in the crowd spoke up, surprising the group. Let them be. Haven't we seen enough division? Murmurs of agreement began to ripple through the onlookers. Marcus and Sam exchanged a glance, a hint of hope crossing their expressions. The man with the banner scowled, but as more voices spoke up in support of Elijah and Lasara, his defiance wavered. He lowered the banner, muttering before walking away. Sam clapped Elijah on the back. Looks like not everyone's against you. Elijah nodded, looking at Lasara. This isn't over, but it's a start. Marcus grinned. You two sure know how to make history interesting. Lasara smiled, her skin glowing softly as she looked out over the dispersing crowd. History is being written every day, Elijah. Today, we just added our part. Elijah stood on the balcony of the city's main hall, watching as the first lights of dawn turned the sky a deep, dusky blue. The day ahead was unlike any other he'd faced. The murmurs of anticipation from the streets below rose with the morning light, drawing a mix of nerves and excitement through him. Marcus came up behind him, hands in his pockets, eyes scanning the crowd. Well, this is it, Eli. No turning back now. Elijah smiled faintly. I don't think I'd want to if I could. Sam joined them, a grin on his face. The square's packed. Didn't expect so many people to show up. Some for you, some just out of curiosity. They want to see if we're serious, Elijah said, turning to see Lasara approaching. Her presence was striking as ever, her skin shimmering with an iridescent glow that seemed almost celebratory. Are you ready? She asked, her voice steady but laced with emotion. As ready as I'll ever be, Elijah replied, reaching out for her hand. Their fingers intertwined, a simple gesture that felt profound in its significance. Marcus leaned in with a smirk. Just remember, when they ask how this started, don't mention the part where Sam tried to dance. Sam laughed, shaking his head. No, that's staying out of the story. No one needs to know that kind of embarrassment. A herald's voice cut through their banter, announcing the start of the ceremony. The hall's doors opened, revealing the grand chamber lined with banners representing both human and alien symbols, merged in a new design that spoke of unity. Elijah and Lasara stepped inside, the sound of murmurs replaced by a deep, respectful silence. Representatives from different species lined the room, their expressions a mix of curiosity, skepticism, and guarded support. Today, we gather to witness something unprecedented, spoke the officiant, an elder of the drawn people. A union that seeks to bridge not just two lives but two worlds. Marcus stood beside Sam at the edge of the crowd, eyes locked on Elijah. He's actually doing it. Sam nodded, a rare serious look crossing his face. It's more than just a ceremony. It's a statement. The elder continued, eyes sweeping the room. Elijah Hayes, a man who has chosen understanding over division, and Lasara, who has shared her world's deepest traditions, stand here to join their lives. Lasara looked up at Elijah, her luminous skin shifting in subtle shades. This journey has been unexpected, but every step has brought us here. Elijah's voice was steady as he replied, and I wouldn't change any of it. The officiant placed a ceremonial band, woven from materials representing both human and alien cultures, around their joined hands. May this bond remind us that differences are to be learned from, not feared. The silence was broken by applause that began tentatively and grew until the hall echoed with it. Marcus and Sam exchanged grins before joining in, their claps adding to the roar. As Elijah and Lasara turned to face the crowd, she leaned closer and whispered, "Sexy alien stripper wanted an affair with a human, then she married him after." Elijah chuckled, squeezing her hand. And now everyone knows. The square outside erupted with cheers, some voices louder than others, but the overwhelming sound was one of acceptance. Elijah met Marcus's eyes in the crowd, who raised a thumbs up. Sam's shout rang out above the noise. That's one for the history books, Eli. Elijah smiled, feeling the weight of the moment shift from heavy anticipation to the lightness of fulfillment. This was not just the end of one journey, but the start of something greater. He and Lasara stood as proof that understanding was not just possible, it was happening.